Dunkles Bier.
The beer gardens in Munich on a Friday afternoon feel a long way away from the failure European Union leaders narrowly managed to avoid by reaching a deal on migration, however vague, in the wee hours of the morning. But divisions between EU member states on this subject have been pulling at the seams of the Union for years now, and at best, this agreement is aspirational. Just listen to the European Council President Donald Tusk describe it.
It is far too early to talk about a success. We have managed to reach an agreement in the European Council, but this is, in fact, the easiest part of the task.
Different leaders emphasized different points. Poland is happy refugee quotas will be voluntary. Austria is applauding proposals for migrant screening centers, detention camps, say critics, in Africa. And Germany has been promised it will be harder for so-called secondary asylum seekers to move around, something Angela Merkel's coalition partners were pressuring her to deliver. Many Bavarians in particular worry that Germany will continue to be a draw for migrants because they believe they'll be entitled to greater social benefits here than in other EU countries. Not everyone in Germany believes migration is a problem. The number of asylum claims have dropped dramatically across the EU.
Yes, we had a problem 2 years ago. There were so many coming. We wanted to do the right thing. I still think it's the right thing to give home and asylum to all that people.
There's no unity in Europe, and it's only Germany and France who try to speak, and all the Eastern Europe countries don't want to pull at the same rope.
In Munich, a city that was mostly destroyed during the Second World War, it is troubling for those who remember why the European Union was created to begin with. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Munich.
The migration issue is upending party politics across Europe, threatening to collapse governments. For some, the feeling is still one of crisis, but as you heard Margaret mention, the facts have changed.
Relax, no problem, no problem.
There is a clear sense of urgency.
The worst refugee crisis since the Second World War.
2015 was a year of panic, desperation, and death.
They know the risks, and still they are driven to take such extreme measures.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
The flow of asylum seekers into Europe looked like a crisis because it genuinely was a crisis. That year, more than 1 million asylum seekers crossed by sea into Europe, but the total last year, 170,000. So far this year, 45,000. The numbers have collapsed by an order of magnitude. So this is largely about the asylum seekers Europe has already absorbed. In Germany, for example, there is anxiety about potential immigrant crime. A recent case dominating the headlines there, the gruesome rape and murder of a 14-year-old student, allegedly, by an Iraqi asylum seeker. Thing is, statistically, fears of a crime wave seem overblown. Violent crime did rise in 2015 and 2016, but now it's falling again. In Germany last year, crimes by non-nationals fell by 23%, and crime overall in the country hit its lowest level in 25 years. But if this isn't really a migration crisis, it's definitely a political one with no end in sight.